was that we always had to tell our parents who were interested in or wanted to date to make sure they weren't one of our cousins. So in a small town, obviously, I watched my cousins be exchange students and travel because the school offered an opportunity every other year to go to Europe. So a small town, a small community, they opened those doors for us. And so I knew early on, and so I took German because we only had two options, German or French, and I'm Lehman, obviously, German, so, somewhere a native tongue. So I wanted, because the more years you had, they only had a certain amount of slots.
Right.
So the first chosen, like if you had 4 years or 3 years. So I, as a junior, got the opportunity to travel to Europe. So we went to Belgium, France, Germany, and unfortunately we didn't get to Austria because we got snowed in Munich, which was really kind of cool. So from that point on, it was like any opportunity, I want to be, and I think it's probably familial, as I have a sister who's a flight attendant, and I have another sister who travels for her company, and any opportunity that she can as well. So, I read a book a number of years ago that the world is flat, right? That we think that everybody's so different, but we're so connected and so similar. And so just to be able to travel the world and with open eyes, right, and to get rid of all of those claims that people think that everything is
the stereotypes.
Right, exactly. So different. So you get to see just amazingly beautiful places and meet amazingly wonderful people and enjoy amazingly delicious food wherever you are. So I think the travel bug started early and just every opportunity.
I think it's so important, and I preach this all the time, that the younger and more often you can take a child on a trip, the better their lives will be. It causes them not to be afraid. When they become adults, they'll venture out and do things that some people are thinking are adventurous, like going away to college. There are some people that would never leave home, but people that have traveled as children tend to not care about going out of state or going out of the country to go to college. It just makes things less scary, and it puts a passion in your soul to meet new people and eat new foods and try new things. I just think it's so important to get your kids to travel. So where was your last adventure?
My last adventure, I don't know. I go on so many that I all kind of melt together.
Just so you know, Cynthia is always gone. I said she lives here in Panama, but does she really live here in Panama?
Right. My goal is this is a great base.
Yeah.
And like I had said earlier, it's so easy to travel. So, if I could just regress a little bit, I have 3 young grandsons. And last December, I was able to bring my 3-year-old and my 2-year-old grandsons here to spend 3 weeks with me. And so, getting your passport early.
Yes.
And of course, as a child, you have to get that every 5 years. But and we've done that with our children as well as they were growing up. But it was so cool to be able to expose them to, traveling on a plane and just different people and different things. So that was actually a really cool adventure. I've done more traveling back and forth to the U.S., but last year I had the opportunity to go to Alaska for 10 days, and I think it was probably one of my top opportunities, which is why I'm going to be going back again, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But my nephew's in the Air Force, so he lives up there, so I got to spend time with his family, and he took us out fishing on the lakes in his boat. I have a cousin who retired from the Air Force who lives up there, and then my son was going to be up there doing some work. So my sister went with me, and we flew up, and we did a little bit of family stuff and a little bit of sightseeing. But we took the train from Anchorage to Seward, and that was really fun. And then we took a boat out onto the water to go over to a glacier, and of course I had a goal of seeing orcas, which didn't happen. But
now you got to go back.
Now I have to go back. But we did see some absolutely magnificent scenery and animals. And then when we came back into dock, there was a whale feeding. So it was really cool. And I think it was maybe a humpback whale.
Yeah.
So we could see him actually come up out of the water, open his mouth with the krill, and then go back down, and that was really cool.
That is cool. We have whale watching here in Panama, don't we?
We do have whale watching, and it happens about June, July to September, October.
Okay.
And it's the only place in the world where the whales come together. They actually have their small ones here.
Oh.
And so we're always going out on whale watching trips. But it's interesting because we do the canal, right? And if you go out on the whale watching trips, you get to see all the ships. And we have Toboga Island, which is real close to the city. So, like I said, so many amazing different things. I've had friends that have been in Boca Chica. And they have been out on a ponga. Sometimes you can go out on a kayak, and literally the whales come right up beside you.
Oh, that's
exciting
and scary all at the same time. I'd be like, oh my God.
Yeah, so really, well, you can dive with them or snorkel with them as well. But going back to Alaska, so I got that. But then the next day, I took a car ride back to Seward, and took a helicopter to the top of a glacier to ride on a dog sled. See,
you do, when you go on trips, you make sure you check off those bucket list items, don't you?
Absolutely. So I do my research ahead of time. And of course, I said I have huskies.
Right.
So I would love to do the Iditarod. It's just a little too cold for me.
Yeah, it's really cold.
But the dog sled thing was really cool. So this coming year, I'm getting ready actually, on Monday to embark on an excursion that'll be going to Hong Kong, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Indonesia, and Australia. And so in Australia, one of the goals is to dive the Great Barrier Reef.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't want to see any friends down
there.
No.
I don't know how how you're going to prevent that from happening.
Right. So, I always do probably not as much research as I should do, but if I'm going somewhere, I want to know. I do a little bit of the touristy stuff, but I love it going off the beaten path.
Right.
Right? To see the things and hang out with the people that, you wouldn't normally do. Right? Where do the real people live, and what do the real people of this country or this area do? So that's one of my passions, right? Is to who can I connect with, and then networking, right? I'm always collecting cards and thinking if somebody says they're going somewhere. Like we were in Colombia, my husband and I, a couple years ago, and we found a really cool restaurant that the food was awesome, and unfortunately, or fortunately, it became like our number one go-to.
So you went all the time.
We did. It's hard to beat the sangria. It was one of the best I've ever had. But the lady that owned it, her brother was a tour guide. So we hired him for the day to take us to all the different places that, if you're on a regular tour, you're not going to get. And Colombia is just absolutely beautiful. I know a lot of people hesitate to go places because they don't know how safe it is.
Right.
And most of the time you do your research. And even when people come to Panama, I always say you have to be cautious without being paranoid.
Right. Otherwise, you wouldn't go anywhere.
Correct. And it doesn't matter what country or what city you're going to, because, there are places in my hometown that I'm not going to at certain times of the day or certain times of the year.
I'm from one of the most dangerous cities in the United States, Chicago.
Right.
You would never go to Chicago if you listen to the news.
Absolutely, but it's a fantastic city.
It is.
I've been there. I've been to the aquarium and walked around the whole thing. You have a great Christmas bazaar thing that's there. So yeah, absolutely. So you have to do your research. You have to be cautious. You have to check in, let people know where you're going to be. But I always say if you wouldn't do it in your hometown, don't do it where you're going.
Exactly.
Right? I don't leave anything in my car when I travel, whether it's in my hometown or whether it's in a country I'm in.
Right.
I always make sure I'm aware of my surroundings. I don't leave my purse wide open on hanging off the side, and usually I don't carry a purse if I don't have to, because it's just one of those, an opportunity.
Right. That's exactly right.
And so we see a lot of times that things are a crime opportunity, right? And people get busy thinking about what it is that they're doing and not paying attention to what's happening around.
But I really like the fact that you do the local thing. That was, I taught at Austin Community College, and sustainable tourism is my baby. I developed that course. And for me, the big thing is making sure that you support the local economy. And a lot of times when we take these trips on cruises or even with the big tour companies, they steer us toward what they want us to see and purchase. And we have to make sure that we understand that a lot of time that money is not coming back to the local economy. The folks that are trying to feed their kids that are walking down the street. It's going to select a select few. So when you can go to a destination and find a local guide that's a brother of someone that was at the restaurant, that type of thing. And of course, some people would be a little paranoid about that. But that's the way you really get the feel and the flavor for the destination that you're traveling to. So that's good.
Absolutely. And then I kept his name, Daniel. And anybody said they were going to Colombia, then I passed his name along, and I had friends that actually were able to use him as well. And, I've been to Venice, one of my favorite cities. I've been there a couple times, and I love getting out of the main areas and just walking along the back streets, because eventually I'm going to end up back where I need to be.
Exactly.
Right? But you see some of the most amazing things, and, you get to talk to people, and food. Sometimes you get the best food off the beaten path as well.
Right. Well, let's take a quick commercial break, and when we get back, let's talk about what you have coming up this year. I know you've got a cruise coming up to Alaska, and let's just talk about a little bit more about what you're doing living abroad. So this is Karen Duncan, your Bucket List Buster. I'll be back in a minute.
Want to learn more about Cynthia Lehman and what she's doing? Talking about travel hacking, cruising, and global traveler lifestyle. Join Cynthia and her friends on the WLB Alaska Cruise 2019 on Holland America Noordam, June the 23rd. 11 nights, including double Denali. Tour itinerary includes Vancouver, cruise the Inside Passage, Ketchikan, Juneau, Skagway, Glacier Bay, Anchorage, Denali National Park, where you'll go on an AM wilderness tour, and then Fairbanks, Alaska, and you'll get to go on the Yukon Riverboat excursion. Ocean view balconies start at $2,759 per person. Remember, that's 11 nights. And you get to see Denali. Join Cynthia. Give us a call at Peaks Cruises and Tours, 512-529-3696, and make your reservation today. So Cynthia, let's talk a little bit about how we reach our bucket list goals and the manifestation of making things happen for ourselves.
And telling us ways to be able to accomplish our bucket list goals. I mean, that's really what it's all about, is accomplishing those goals and not waiting to accomplish those goals. I listen to people talk all the time about when I retire or when I do this. And it's like, what are you waiting for? Life is passing. What are you going to do today that's going to get you toward those goals?
Right. You and I are a lot alike in that we talked about setting goals and vision boards. And, the elephant thing is funny because I remember last year I was looking through a magazine and I was like, oh, this is really cool. I think I'd like to do that. And you put that in your mind and the next thing you know, you've got it on your list and you get that opportunity.
Yep.
But if you're not thinking about those possibilities, then they may never come across your horizon.
Right. Panama was a manifestation of an intention for me. I mean, exactly a year ago, we had made this decision, I guess late November, December of last year, once we found out my husband was going to be laid off. And so this time last year, I was packing my house in order to put it on the market so that we could move to Panama.
Wow.
And last September, that wasn't even a thought in our head that we were going to be relocating to an international destination. So things can happen. But I had always wanted to do it. I'd been dreaming about it. I'd been watching House Hunters International religiously.